It is just about turkey day, and I'm gonna tell you, I've spent years trying to perfect my smoked turkey. So today I'm gonna share with you some of the best tips that I possibly have to help you along in this holiday season. Today we're gonna be doing a whole smoked turkey. We dry brined it overnight, we're gonna inject it, we're gonna season it, and we're gonna smoke it on the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800. Now let's get started. Okay, so look, like I said, I've been making turkeys for years now, and I've tested about every method that I possibly can to find what is the best, tastiest bird possible. So let's get started. I'm gonna share with you my tips. Now let's talk about brining. Now I've done wet brines. If you're looking to do a wet brine, I've got some great videos that include that. But what I've found that if you're looking for a nice crispy skin, which can be a little difficult on a smoker, a wet brine is working against you because the skin is saturated, it is wet, it's juicy. Now, if you do a dry brine, which what we did with this, I like to use some of the Lowry's garlic salt, which has a little bit of parsley, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of salt, and I just put a nice even coating on the night before. I take a wire rack, place the turkey on the wire rack, and then onto a cookie sheet and into the refrigerator. So this turkey here has been dry brined for about 16 hours overnight, and we're gonna season it up. Now, one thing that you have to remember, when you do a dry brine, you do want to have a salt-based rub because the salt is what's gonna be playing with that moisture. Now, when you go to season the turkey the next day, you want to be a little careful with your salt. If you have a salt-based or a high sodium-based rub, you're gonna have a very salty bird. So I like to make either my own, or I like to use something like the Herbaceous Hen. This is a good herb-based rub. It's not overly salty, and it pairs well with that Lowry's garlic salt. Now, what the dry brine does is it basically pulls the moisture out and puts it back in. It's, you know, there's a lot of science behind that. We're not gonna get into it. But what happens is it's going to help you get a crispy skin. Now today we will be running at 325 degrees, which will also help, but you don't need to crank it up super high to get a good finish on this bird. Now the skin here itself is going to be a little on the dry side, and the reason why is because we did the dry brine. So I'm gonna take a duck fat spray and super quick just hit it with a little mist, and all I'm doing that for is to make sure that the rub has something to stick to. I don't wanna overly saturate this. So that's all we're gonna be doing. Now I made my own Texas style barbecue rub here, and what I did is I dropped the amount of salt that I typically would use. It's basically salt, pepper, garlic, but I also have a couple other things added in here. They're gonna help give some color to the bird and also a little bit of additional flavor. I'll put a recipe down in the description. But I'm gonna go ahead and start to season this bird. And like I said, the reason why I made my own rub on this one is because it gives me the ability to control the salt. And like I said, because we did that dry brine with a very salt-based mixture, this is going to help control that sodium. Now, one thing that I will say is depending on what you got going on here, there usually is a little bit of trimming involved. I just cape the neck or neck cavity there. Sometimes you'll get a lot of skin flapping around, and all that's gonna do is end up burning because it's just gonna hang down by the coals. But really, this turkey here doesn't have a lot of trimming that needs to be done. So now that we've got this seasoned, it's time to inject it. Now today, I'm trying a little different injection, and it's something that I've been messing around with, but I will put the recipe down in the description. What I'm using in this butter injection is a mushroom bouillon to give it a nice savory taste. I've got some other herbs and spices in there. Like I said, recipe will be down in the description, but it's going to make for a very delicious bird. Now let's get it injected. Give it a good stir, make sure that there's no sediment down at the bottom here. And I'm using my largest injector because it is a kind of a granular injection here. Now, I'm going to inject into the breast, and I go as deep as I possibly can, and I just start to pump, and then I'm going to change the angle a little bit, and this is gonna help spread it throughout the breast. And yes, you will get some running out. And we're gonna do the same into this breast. I also inject the thighs and the legs because I want this flavor to be spread all along the inside of this turkey. And then if I've got any left over, I will inject a little bit more into the breast itself. Now that we've got this seasoned, we've got it injected, it is time to get it over to the smoker. Now, because we've been handling this, you might have to touch up the rub a little bit. So when you get it over there, bring your rub with you, touch it up just like we're about to do. All right, here we go with that turkey. This is about a 13-pound turkey. We're cooking it at 325 degrees today on the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800. Now, like I said, I am going to be redressing this with my seasoning just a little bit because we did handle it. Some of that butter may have made it run off. So just touch up those areas that we may have messed around with. I'm not a fan of how the turkey is laying here with the wings wide open like that. So I'm gonna tie this bird together to tighten it up a bit, and it's gonna give it a better overall presentation. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock in the legs here right around the ankles. And I'm also going to tie around the breast and tuck those wings in. That is one beautiful looking bird. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get one of my probes in here. We're gonna monitor the internal temperature of the breast. We're looking for 165 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and give this some time. We've got another step that we're going to do later on. I will show you that once we get to it. Go grab yourself a beer. We've got some time. We'll see you then. As you can see, the turkey is crisping up nicely. We've got a nice golden finish. And to help with that finish, and now that the rub is sticking to the surface, we're gonna brush some butter on it, and we're gonna continue to do this until we reach 165 degrees. Now we're within about 10 degrees of final temperature here on this turkey. We're gonna baste it just a little bit more. Keep an eye on that temperature because this thing will be pulled off here very, very soon. All right, this turkey that we did on the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 800 is done. Now remember, we dry brine this overnight. We injected it with that savory butter and mushroom bouillon based injection. We also basted it with butter once we hit about 130, 140 degrees. The reason why we waited until then is because the seasoning adhered to the skin, and when we basted it, we weren't washing anything away. Now it's time to cut into this and see how good of a job we did. This is so juicy, I can't even describe. It's like puddled up here. Take that quarter off. Take that quarter off. And let's go ahead and slice into this breast here. And this skin is very crispy. I can tell you that right now. Probably one of the crispiest skins that I've gotten from my smoker. I think partially it's the rub and it's that dry brine for sure, and being able to run it at 325 degrees. All of that work means nothing until we give it a try. Let's see how we did. The seasoning itself is very basic, very simple, but it is very delicious. It gives you a nice crust, actually. You get the savory notes of that mushroom bouillon, but it's not overpowering. And one of the things with that in any kind of bouillon is that it's in fact pretty salty. So you gotta be careful and use that in moderation. Very juicy, very tasty, very flavorful. If you like this video and you want more flavorful recipes, then I suggest you check out this video right here.